700,000 years ago. Long before civilization, before agriculture, before written language. Earth was a different world, colder, wilder, more dangerous. And in this world, scattered across Africa, Europe, and Asia, our ancestors struggled to survive. They were not yet modern humans. Homo sapiens wouldn't emerge for another 400,000 years. These were our predecessors, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo erectus, and other archaic human species. They had no farms, no grocery stores, no certainty of their next meal. Every day was a battle against hunger, predators, and the elements. Yet somehow they survived. They adapted. They thrived. How did they do it? What did they eat? And how did their survival diet shape the very evolution of our species? This is the story of humanity's most primal struggle, the quest for food in a world that offered no guarantees. 700,000 years ago, Earth was in the grip of the Middle Pleistocene, an age of dramatic climate shifts. Massive ice sheets advanced and retreated across the northern hemisphere. Sea levels rose and fell by hundreds of feet. Europe was a patchwork of frozen tundra, temperate forests, and open grasslands. Africa's climate oscillated between wet and dry periods, creating expanding deserts and shrinking forests. Asia's landscapes stretched from tropical rainforests to harsh steppes. In this challenging environment lived our ancestors, archaic humans who had mastered fire, created sophisticated stone tools, and developed complex social structures. But they remained at the mercy of nature's most fundamental law: eat or die. They shared their world with formidable predators, cave lions larger than any modern big cat, saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, and massive hyenas. Competition for food was fierce, and humans weren't always at the top of the food chain. How do we know what these ancient people ate? Scientists examine fossilized teeth, analyze bone chemistry, study ancient tool marks on animal bones, and investigate prehistoric hearth sites. Together, these clues paint a picture of a diet far more diverse and sophisticated than we once imagined. For decades, anthropologists debated whether early humans were primarily hunters or scavengers. The answer, it turns out, is both, and the distinction mattered less than their flexibility. Stone tool marks on ancient animal bones reveal a pattern. Sometimes, cut marks appear on top of carnivore tooth marks, suggesting humans scavenged after lions or hyenas had finished. But other times, the pattern reverses. Human tool marks appear first, with carnivore teeth marks on top. By 700,000 years ago, humans had developed sophisticated hunting weapons. The oldest known wooden spears, discovered in Skåningen, Germany, date to about 400,000 years ago, but evidence suggests spear technology is much older. Hunting large game required extraordinary cooperation. A single mammoth or giant deer could feed a family group for weeks, but bringing down such prey demanded teamwork, strategy, and courage. Early humans developed ingenious hunting strategies. They drove herds toward cliffs or marshlands where animals became trapped. They used fire to control animal movements. They learned the habits of their prey, where they drank, how they migrated, when they were most vulnerable. But hunting large game was dangerous and unpredictable. A wounded mammoth could kill a hunter with one swipe. Weeks might pass between successful hunts. So humans became expert scavengers as well, driving lions and hyenas from their kills or arriving at carcasses before other predators. Scavenging required its own skills, reading vulture behavior to locate carcasses, moving quickly before other predators arrived, and knowing which parts to take for maximum nutrition. One particular food source set humans apart: bone marrow. While lions and hyenas consumed flesh and organs, humans cracked open bones to extract the rich, fatty marrow inside, a concentrated source of calories and essential nutrients that other predators couldn't access. But meat was only part of the story. In fact, for most early human populations, gathered plant foods likely provided the majority of calories, especially for groups living in temperate or tropical regions. The plant foods available to early humans were remarkably diverse: starchy roots and tubers, energy-rich nuts, seasonal fruits, edible leaves, seeds, and wild grains. These foods were more reliable than game. They didn't run away, fight back, or require dangerous hunts. Tubers, underground storage organs like wild yams and roots, were particularly important. They provided steady calories year-round and could be stored for short periods. Women, often accompanied by children, became expert foragers, memorizing the locations of productive plants and returning to them season after season. Many wild plants required processing to become edible. Tough roots needed pounding or cooking. Bitter nuts had to be leached. Seeds required grinding. This processing wasn't just practical, it was revolutionary. The ability to process and cook plant foods dramatically expanded the human diet. Cooking broke down tough fibers, neutralized toxins, and made nutrients more accessible. It allowed humans to exploit food sources that no other animal could utilize. Early humans developed encyclopedic knowledge of their environments. They knew when specific plants fruited, where certain mushrooms grew after rains, which insects were edible, and how to track seasonal migrations of game. One particularly prized food was honey, concentrated energy that could sustain a family for days. Gathering it required courage and ingenuity, often involving smoke to calm the bees and tools to access the hive. Insects, too, played a crucial role. Termites, beetle grubs, caterpillars, and grasshoppers provided protein and fat, especially during seasons when large game was scarce. Even today, many traditional societies consider insects a delicacy. Perhaps no innovation transformed the human diet more profoundly than the mastery of fire. By 700,000 years ago, and possibly much earlier, humans had learned to create, control, and preserve fire. Fire revolutionized food. Cooking meat made it easier to chew and digest, killing parasites and bacteria. It broke down tough plant fibers and neutralized many natural toxins. In essence, fire began the digestion process before food even entered the mouth. Modern research reveals just how important cooking was. Cooked foods provide more calories with less digestive effort. They allow the body to extract nutrients that would otherwise pass through unabsorbed. Some anthropologists argue that cooking was so beneficial it actually drove human evolution. As early humans adopted cooked foods, they could afford smaller, more efficient digestive systems. The energy saved went instead to growing larger, more complex brains. Evidence supports this theory. Compared to other great apes, humans have smaller teeth, weaker jaws, and shorter digestive tracts, all consistent with a diet of processed and cooked foods. Fire also enabled food preservation. Early humans learned to smoke dry meat and fish, extending the life of perishable foods and allowing them to build up reserves for lean times. But fire offered more than just better nutrition. It provided warmth in cold climates, protection from predators, light after dark. Around the fire, early humans gathered, shared food, told stories, and strengthened social bonds. The hearth became the center of human life. Life 700,000 years ago was a rhythm of feast and famine. When hunting was successful or seasonal fruits ripened, early humans gorged themselves, consuming far more than they needed. This wasn't gluttony, it was survival strategy. In a world without refrigeration or agriculture, storing food meant storing it in the body as fat. Those who could gain weight during abundant times had a better chance of surviving lean periods. And lean periods came regularly. Winters brought hardship, especially in northern latitudes. Game grew scarce. Plants went dormant. Ice covered water sources. Humans relied on stored body fat, cached food supplies, and their knowledge of winter foods, pine nuts, bark, dried meat. Survival during famine required more than individual resilience, it required social cooperation. Successful hunters shared their kills. Those who found rich plant sources brought back enough for everyone. This reciprocal altruism wasn't just kindness, it was insurance. By sharing resources, early humans created safety nets. A hunter injured today knew his family would be fed by others because he had fed them when fortune favored him. This social interdependence may be one of humanity's defining characteristics. Remarkably, fossil evidence shows early humans cared for disabled and elderly members who couldn't contribute to food gathering. Skeletons reveal individuals with severe injuries who lived years after their trauma, only possible if others provided for them. Today, in the developed world, we face the opposite problem of our ancestors. Instead of scarcity, we have abundance, an endless supply of cheap, calorie-dense foods. And our bodies, shaped by millions of years of feast and famine cycles, aren't well adapted to this new reality. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease, these modern epidemics stem partly from the mismatch between our ancient biology and our modern environment. We evolved to crave fats, sugars, and salts because they were rare and valuable. Now they're everywhere. Understanding our ancestral diet offers insights into optimal human nutrition. Early humans ate an enormous variety of foods, perhaps hundreds of different plant and animal species each year. They consumed high fiber, lean proteins, and healthy fats. They ate seasonally and locally. They were also constantly active, walking miles each day, climbing, digging, carrying. The sedentary lifestyle of modern humans would have been incomprehensible to them. But perhaps the most important lesson isn't about what our ancestors ate, it's about how they ate. Meals were communal events. Food was shared, celebrated, and appreciated. There was no eating alone in cars or in front of screens. In this, we may have lost something essential. The social bonds forged around shared meals sustained our ancestors through the harshest conditions. That same connection, that sense of community and mutual support remains vital to human well-being today. 700,000 years ago, our ancestors faced impossible odds. No claws, no fangs, no natural armor. Just intelligence, cooperation, and an extraordinary adaptability. Their survival diet, diverse, minimally processed, shared with community, sustained them through ice ages and droughts, predators and disease. It shaped our biology, our brains, even our social nature. We can never fully return to that ancient way of life. Nor should we romanticize the very real hardships our ancestors endured. But we can learn from their wisdom, eating whole foods, staying active, and perhaps most importantly, sharing our meals and our lives with others. For in the end, the survival diet of early humans was never just about food. It was about connection, cooperation, and the fundamental human need to care for one another. That, more than any specific food, is what sustained our species through the ages and what sustains us still.